Morning, John.
Morning, Roger.
How are
Morning,
you?
Sal.
Hi.
How are you feeling about playing an arena?
Yeah, I think that's a first for me. Although, actually, no, I've done outdoor sort of gigs where there's been several, five-figure audiences, but I don't count the Co-op as an arena on account of it's got a lid on it. It's got a roof on it,
yeah.
so I always think of arenas as being outdoor events. So,
Okay,
but it is the biggest.
I was just going to say, it's got a lot of people in it.
Yeah, it's a big one. Yeah. The more the merrier, I always say.
Just to be clear, it's not playing the Co-op around the corner.
No,
it's the Co-op live arena.
We better add the live arena. Yeah.
Have you written a load of new material for this? Because it's a different
not
type
specifically for this event, but I do have a lot of new material. Yeah. I mean, I've got a recent anthology out, so it's out in paperback actually, on the 15th of February, I think. So any cheapskates that've been hanging around,
not buying the hardback.
Buy the hardback
hanging
for
around for
Christmas,
the
get the
paperback edition.
Yeah. What's been inspiring you?
Pardon?
What's been inspiring you?
Well, everyday life things, stuff. In fact, I've got a list of a list of the things that inspire me in here, all kind of things.
And you have that book with you all the time, do you? Every time I see you.
Yeah, I'm old school, I don't have any, digital media at my disposal, so I'm definitely a kind of scribbled on the back of a beer mat kind of guy.
And do you, if something...
Or a notebook.
Preferably. What do you do, just write down a few words? Do you get a...
Yeah, I'm a nosy Parker, I listen into other people's conversations, I watch a lot of telly. So I guess those are the two things, the public and television are my main inspiration.
And when you're listening to a conversation, what is it? What sort of conversation is it that might spark a poem?
Anything like, really. I'm just kind of, by nature a nosy Parker, but, and if you do listen to conversation, you're always going to get ready-made lines, if you're a poet, if you've got that antenna about you. For instance, I got a whole poem out of watching the news. It shows you when I did it. It was a long time ago, but sometimes they just fall in your lap, just neat rhymes just fall in your lap. And I was watching the Tea Time News one time, and I think it was when Jeffrey Archer was in some kind of legal trouble. And he got kicked out of some place or other. And anyway, he came up with the line, "The sudden departure of Jeffrey Archer." so I got a whole number out of that one.
Gosh. And literally, that was a phrase on the news.
Yeah,
and
that's right. It
Oh.
wasn't meant to rhyme,
No.
I mean, it was quite unconscious. But I thought, that's great, the sudden departure of Jeffrey Archer. There's a whole world of poetry in that line.
Are you ever surprised? When you do these really big, like a big auditorium, like a big crowd, how are you surprised by their reaction to you? Because people really do engage and react, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, it's remarkably similar wherever I go in the world, and I have circumnavigated the globe 10 times now, and one way or another, and no, I mean, they all sort of laugh in the same places, which is, nice,
And it's an interesting thing when you say you've circumnavigated the globe, because you are a man from Salford. Your delivery is fast sometimes. Some of the words are unusual. Does that land the same with an audience that's not in an English-speaking country as it would if you performed it in...
Amazingly, yeah, amazingly. I mean, I've done shows in Estonia, Finland. I was recently in Scandinavia, Sweden, Holland, Europe, obviously, the States, no problem.
And an Estonian, because obviously you're all in English, you're not translating.
Well, English is the most popular language in the world, isn't it?
Yeah.
Especially for poetry. It's just, I mean, the last book of poetry I had, the last one book of poetry was called The Luckiest Guy Alive, and I mean it, man. And one of the factors of being the luckiest guy alive is to be a poet and have English as your first language is just the business. It's easy for me.
So do you feel lucky to have this life that you have?
Oh, absolutely, yeah, absolutely. But, you make your own luck, don't you, in life?
You've had a life, haven't you, when you
I've had
think
a
about
life. I have had a
performing
lot
with the
of
Sex Pistols
Yeah.
back in the day and, you know,
Yeah.
to still have that longevity. What do you put that down to, the poetic longevity?
I don't know really. I mean, I can't really change, you know, what I do. It's, you know, what I do now is the same as. I mean, it's poetry, isn't it? How much can it change? But if I'd have been a band, I would have broke up decades ago. Musical differences.
Yeah, exactly.
You would have broken up with yourself.
Pardon?
You would have broken up with yourself.
Yeah.
And what are you working on now at the moment?
So I'm trying to write my next year's Christmas hit.
Okay.
Because if you write a Christmas hit, you know, you'll never have to work again.
Oh, yes.
And I'm
Now, how do you
basically
go
a very
about that?
idle person, you know. That's another thing that is your friend. You know, apart from being the English language at my disposal as a poet, I think your best friend as a poet, my advice to any poet is idleness. Idleness is
Thinking time,
the
that is, John.
minimum requirement if you're going to write poetry.
Do you ever struggle? Do you ever, like, get the notebook out and the page is blank?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely, yeah.
What do you do to get out of that?
Just keep hacking at it, really. Yeah.
Do a bit more idleness.
Yeah, more idleness.
More idling.
Yeah, exactly.
Brilliant. And will you have, I mean, obviously you've performed in thousands of places all around the world. When you step out at the Co-op Live Arena in front of however many, 15, 20,000, whatever it is, do you think you'll have any nerves?
But they are scaling it down a little. It's an adjustable environment.
But will you feel
know,
nerves, do you think, making history?
No, I don't really get nerves anymore because I mean I used to in in the days of punk rock because I was never the main event really. You know, not all the time anyway. But you know, if your name's over the marquee and people, you know, the tickets aren't cheap. So I just assume that everybody there already likes me.
Happy to be there. You're among friends.
yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah. So I don't really get nervous about it. No.
We wish you luck. Hope it goes
Look,
well.
that's for amateurs.
All right.
But
We wish
thank
you everything
anyway.
then.
Thank you anyway. It's
Yeah.
the thought that counts, Roger. Thank you, Sally.
Cheers, John. It's lovely
Pleasure.
to see you. Thank you for
Pleasure.
So
coming.
welcome. Do stay with us, everyone. The headlines are coming right up. That didn't